Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Circle Up and Get Real. And today it's going to be a shorter version because I just want to acknowledge the 20-year anniversary of my entrepreneurial venture. I wasn't even really thinking about it till yesterday. And, it kind of launched the same way I'm celebrating this 20-year anniversary, sort of happenstance like. I don't think I ever really told anybody that I was launching the company on that day, except that I was speaking at an event at the YWCA. I don't even remember what it was for. And I remember kind of sneakily telling people, I'm starting a company. And I had the logo and I had the concept, which is why I wanted to do it because I thought box office was a really cool name. And so I sort of built the company around the name and the logo. And if I think back, knowing what I know now, I would have done it so much differently. Yet I wonder if I would have done it at all if I would have known how difficult it was. Sometimes things just work out for the best, even though we're told to do them differently sometimes, like plan your exit strategy and make sure you have enough money and make sure you have clients and all those things that I would probably advise somebody now who was thinking about starting a company. I didn't have that advice from anybody. I didn't really ask. And I just did this. Remember that Zen saying, leap and the net will appear? That's kind of what I did. And it was not easy when you think back on what was happening in history that time, 2005 to 2008. In 2008, everything kind of crashed. The economy crashed. It was hard. 2008 was hard. 2009 was hard. And I remember there being many, many times when I thought, I don't know if I can do this. How am I going to pay the mortgage? Um, and somehow it just worked out. Somehow I'm still here. And I remember lots of times, one in particular where I was in a mastermind group with a couple other people, and I was kind of lamenting how, had I stayed with the company that I was working with earlier in my career, I could have by now been retired with a pension. And at the time I was thinking, did I do the right thing? This is so hard. And one of the people in that group said, Jody, look, it's been at that time, it's been 5 years. And he said, so many small businesses don't survive the first year. And here you are 5 years later. And it just kept being like a year later, and then 2 years later, and then something would happen that would, it's kind of like golf, right? You're a terrible golfer, but you get that one really good shot that keeps you coming back. That's sort of how this whole 20-year journey has been. It would be hard, and then there would be a big win that would make it all worth it. There were times when I dipped in and out of other organizations, but never let go of my company. I took jobs, I guess. I became, well, I won't even put the specifics on it, but I took a job for 3 years in the middle and did this on the side. And then I took another job for a while and kept this on the side. But this is the one constant in the last 20 years. My original box office and now Get Real, it never left me. I mean, the thought and the theory and the passion and the energy toward what I really wanted to do never went away. And so even when it was hard, even when there were times that I struggled, I'm getting kind of teary thinking about it because it's here. We made it 20 years. And I think back on all the clients I had a chance to work with, all the people I met, all the traveling I did. 2015, I had a chance to go all over the United States and teach a class on behalf of Keller Williams, which is one of the companies that I was working for in this interim. I never let go of, like I said, box office and my desire to teach and travel and train. I just had an opportunity to utilize my talents and skills towards something more specific at that time. But I went from San Diego to Trumbull, Connecticut, and everywhere in between that year. And I just met such great people. And I recognize now in looking back that when the passion and the impetus toward something is there, the details kind of tend to work themselves out. Hi, John. Congratulations. Thank you, John. You have a great business. You're doing awesome. And I'd say the same thing to you, John. You are such a steady presence in my life right now, especially. John is one of the people who believed in me when I was on another venture, adding to Box Office, where I was in networking. And John was the president of one of my networking organizations, and he has now moved on to from Fargo to Arizona, and he's making a big difference in a new community, and we are staying in touch, and John's helping me work through some new ways of thinking of things. So John, you're a big part of this. Thank you for that and for being there. um, it's so fun to just imagine, all the people who I know who now know each other. And over the 20 years, we've done, oh my goodness, I should count them up, how many Think and Grow Rich mastermind groups. We've got more than 1,000 people who have been part of a Think and Grow Rich mastermind group with me and who have met each other through that book. That's just one of the many avenues. Gal, this is just kind of fun going down memory lane. Who did I meet? What did I learn? I worked with the Bob Proctor organization for a couple of years, which is where I learned about Think and Grow Rich. And I met people all over the world, really, world, there for those 2 years. I met Wayne Dyer. I got to hug Wayne Dyer. I met Paul Martinelli, who was a big part of my growth back then, who went on to work with the John Maxwell organization and is now doing his own thing, which is awesome. God, I got to meet Michael Beckwith. I got to meet John Asseroff. I got to meet Greg Reed, who actually did a little cameo on a promo video I did for Box Office back in the day. Just so many great people. Those are names you might recognize, but there are so many other names you might not recognize. Just the people I had a chance to interact with. And for me, the most rewarding part probably is being able to connect people with each other, because I'm a really good connector. If I get to know you and you let me know you and you let me know what's important to you, I'll probably know somebody who would benefit from your knowledge and your wisdom and your own connections. That's what I find so compelling about the work I get to do with mindset, leadership, all the soft skills. I don't like calling them soft skills, but all the things that don't always get credence as it relates to business, because it's really kind of hard sometimes to measure the effects of communication and leadership. But without communication and leadership, does the rest of it even happen? I mean, I guess in some ways, when you have a production first mindset, production has to happen because it's on the forefront of your mind. But Chris Angel and I are working on a book and a new platform that is called Culture First, to provide a different focus, maybe a different focus for organizations who have been all production. There's nothing wrong with production. There's nothing wrong with profitability and all those things. But if we look at production first, we can overlook what I feel is the most important, which is culture, communication, the way people feel about each other, the the touchy feely squishy things that often get overlooked. And that's what the last 20 years have been about for me. I haven't known the how of things. I have no idea of the how of things. I don't know. Actually, I know how to do some things, but they don't feel right to do in the way I'm supposed to do them. Self promotion is one of those areas. I'm not the best at telling you about me. I'm not the best at saying, I would love to work with your organization. I would love to be considered as a keynote speaker for your conference. I'm not great at that for some reason. Yet, over the years, there have been so many opportunities I've had because of word of mouth, because people have recommended me and referred me. And I can't even express how grateful I am, because that's the only way my business has grown. I think I've probably spent about $100 total on ads. And some of that is maybe an ad in a program for a community production of something, just to support. I really haven't done too much to ask for business. And maybe that's why, in some ways, my business is where it is, and in other ways, why it's lasted for 20 years. because I've really done my best to be authentic about the work I'm doing. And that's why I'm also very appreciative to Chris. Even though, Chris, I was kind of sad that we had to put box office on the shelf as a brand because we decided in 2020 to rebrand to Get Real. I was sad about that. I still miss it sometimes because I really liked that brand. I liked who I was being when that was being born and how I was growing with it. Get Real is the right thing for now because it's all about that for me. It's about being authentic and helping other people tap into their own unique abilities, their own unique perspectives, because I think that's what the world needs more than anything, in my opinion, is people who are authentic and real and who will be themselves in whatever area of work they're in. I don't, this is going to sound weird, but I don't really care what you do for a living. I care deeply about who you be while you do it. And in that space of being the best, I don't know, carpet layer or being the best banker or being the best car salesperson, I don't care what you do. I really don't. I'm having the best time of my life working with my railroad client. I love these people so much. And oh, yeah, by the way, they do railroad car and track maintenance and transportation. And it's all so important, but I really don't know a whole lot about the how of their industry. It's been that way as I've been in manufacturing most of my career. I don't know a whole lot about manufacturing. I mean, I know enough, but I don't know the hows of your industry because you do. You're the expert at what you do. I'm the expert in who you be when you do it. Hey, Rico, thank you for that. Rico, you're another example of someone who has shown up in my life who has just made my life better because you are such a unique and real person. You've been in part of my Think and Grow Rich group as well. And there's something about spending time with people on a weekly basis, studying something like Think and Grow Rich that has you get to know each other. Um, there's just a lot of people, if as I said earlier, 1,000 people or so have been through this with me. You get to know people's maybe their fears in some way, their their goals, of course, their dreams, all of those things. But you also get to know when people feel comfortable and safe. You get to know what holds them back. And part of that is because I've realized what has been holding me back or what has held me back in the past. And if I can share that, it's just my willingness to go first, I think that allows other people to do the same thing. So, what we're creating now as part of Get Real, there's a lot more to come because as I uncover more of what has held me back, I become more confident in the knowledge that this can all work out, everybody. This can all work out. When I think back on how many times I didn't know how I really seriously, there were times I didn't know how the mortgage got paid. I think back now and I still don't know how it all worked out, but it did. It always did. And if we can go with our heart and our head and our gut all in alignment right now, if we can go forward in the direction of our dreams, I know that compelling desire will allow everything else to show up for us. I know that because it's happened to me over the last 20 years. Once you make a decision, the universe conspires on your behalf, and you start recognizing the forces you wish to use and the cooperation of other people because you can't not. And whether it means that I've made $1 billion or just scraped by many times, I'm still standing. We're still here. There's a lesson to be had in that for me and for anyone who might want to listen. Rico says, "Thank you so much. I greatly admire your work." Well, Rico, it takes one to know one, right? We see what we're looking for, and we will attract who we are, not necessarily what we want. If I say I want to make $1 million next year, I really want to make $1 million next year, that want isn't enough to have me compromise values that would have me do things that making $1 million might require. And if that's the case, then maybe $1 million isn't my inspiration. 1 million souls, 1 million people, 1 million opportunities, 1 million dreams, all of that is very compelling to me. And that may result in $1 million. To me, the 1 million souls is more important. And knowing that I've been touched by and hopefully touched those people, maybe not 1 million, but pick a number. If it's all about numbers, I think for me, I lose the individuality of the humans that I want to be in relationship with. So to me, everything's about relationship. And when we can get together over a cup of coffee or a junkyard beer, and we can be real, I had a conversation like that a couple weeks ago with somebody. It was just so rewarding for me. We met at junkyard and we had a couple of beers and we ate some popcorn and we talked about life and we talked about legacy and we talked about how we want to leave things when it's our time to be either retired or I don't anticipate retiring, but those kinds of conversations are what I think compels all of us to maybe go a little bit deeper in the work we're doing because our being gets energized. Maybe we can feed our souls so that our bodies can do the work we're here to do. And I think I used to have that backwards. There was a time I had that backwards. I used to believe that work needed to be hard and that you needed to hate it so that you could get paid money to do the things you loved. I had it mixed up. I really do believe that there's another way to do it, and I believe that abundance follows. And if you want, we can talk more about what I've learned over the 20 years, because I've never really thought about it in these kinds of terms as I am right now with you. So thank you for allowing me the space to speak into. As always, this is just I'm so blessed. I'm just so blessed. And if you're listening to this live or later, put a comment in. Let me know what you've seen or what you've experienced or what's happened in your life or what's kept you going when the times were tough or what compelled you to just go faster. I'd love to know. Or let's get together. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a Zoom meeting if you don't live in my community. Or let's grab coffee. Let's grab a beer. Let's talk. Let's connect. I love that. And that's what it means to me to be real. So think about that for yourself this week. Think about who you've become over the last 20 years. What struggles have you had? What have you overcome? Because all of us, if you're listening to this, you've survived every day of your life up to now. And I am interested not only surviving, but thriving for the rest of my life. And the life and career will probably be interchanged because I can't imagine retiring. I love what I do so much. And it's because of you. It's because of people like you who are willing to give me space when I'm speaking these things on the podcast, and those organizations like the one I got to speak for yesterday. We talked about change, transition, and transformation. I think sometimes we we put those three things together, and then we resist change when we forget that there are three components to it: change, transition, and transformation. The audience yesterday was fantastic. Thank you so much for giving me that space to speak into as the keynote for your conference. Man, there's just so many good things to look at in spite of all the chaos that we can see if that's what we're looking for. So, enough. I'll be done. I'm not doing the Midwest goodbye today. I'm just going to say thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to 20 more. All right. Thanks, everybody. Go get real. Talk to you again.